the Bodyshop sessions. This is our second session for the day and for the series. We are going to be talking about paints and coatings, the new technology, and what we should all prepare for. My name is Michel, Malik. I publish magazines called Bodyshop News around the world. I'm also a radio broadcaster, and I have a passion about cars, like everybody else around this place. I have 4 colleagues here who are going to be helping me with this event. And so I'm going to introduce them one by one, and they'll tell us about themselves. So I'm going to start with Khaled. Khaled is the Senior Manager for International Business at Kapci Coatings. Welcome, Khaled. Tell us a bit about you.
Hello, hi Michael, how are you? Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Khaled Sorour. I'm the International Business Senior Manager in Kapci Coatings. I joined Kapci Coatings since 19 years now. I've started working with Kapci as an export member. After a couple of years, I promoted to be a sales area manager, especially for Europe and North Africa, Gulf. Then I started to be the export manager around 2009. Then I worked for that for 11 years. Then I started to be the international business manager or sales manager. I'm responsible now for the whole world, as well as we have a new manufacturing plant in India, which is running since the beginning of this year. I'm also responsible for this business.
Welcome, Khaled. Thank you.
Welcome, dear.
Also, I'll go with my colleague Robert Snook. Robert is a moderator at IBIS. He's also the owner of an MSO in the UK, 7 to 8 of the best body shops in the country. Welcome, Robert. Tell us a little bit more about you.
Yes, as Michel alluded to, I wear 2 hats here today. One is the conference moderator of IBIS. IBIS are the global collision repair events around the world. When I'm not doing that, as Michel said, I'm owner and director of MG Cannon. We're a multi-site body shop group in the UK, based in the southwest of the country. We have 8 sites, 37 different manufacturer approvals, and nearly 100 retail dealer sites that nominate us as their manufacturer-approved body shop.
Thank you, Robert. David Luehr is the owner of Elite Body Shop Solutions in the USA. Welcome, Dave. Tell us a bit more than that.
Well, thank you, Michel, and thanks to Auto Promotech for having me here today. I'm a former floor sweeper and car painter. Any car painters out there? There we go.
Oh.
Glad to have you in the house. So I'm a car painter turned business owner, and in 2013, when a consolidator in the United States purchased the company I was working for, I became an entrepreneur helping small business owners and body shop owners to take on the Mr. Big Shots of the world and dominate the competition. So I now own Elite Body Shop Solutions and a new brand called the Limitless Entrepreneur, where we help body shops with operational skills, management skills, and leadership skills. That's what we do. Thanks for having me.
Welcome aboard. Thank you, Dave. And last but not least is Andrew Tindall. Andrew is the European Sales and Marketing Director for the Indasa Group. Welcome, Andy. Tell us more about what you do and what you like to do.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody.
By the way, no football.
No football, okay, I'll keep the football out. Good afternoon, everybody. So my name's Andrew Tindall. I'm actually the Group Commercial Director, so I have all of the responsibility for all of Indasa. Okay. I'm just promoting myself so across the globe. So for those of you that don't know Indasa, we're a producer of abrasives. We're based in Portugal. We have 11 companies around the world, mainly in Europe, but also we go as far as Brazil and the USA. On a personal note, as Michel says, I'm a football fan, for those of you that follow the mighty Chelsea, and a keen cyclist as well.
So you like Nenny for sure.
Why don't you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, well, no, welcome aboard, Andrew. Thank you. I'll just give you a quick idea about the format today. So we're going to talk about paints and coatings and how it's affecting the industry. And at the end of the session with my colleagues here, we will have a Q&A, and we're quite happy for you to ask us questions at the end. So I'm going to start with the first section, which is how important is color and coatings in vehicle designs. And I'm going to start with Dave. We talked this morning about ADAS, EVs, and new technologies. Are paint and coatings needed to interact with or to be integral with those things?
Yeah, absolutely. More than ever, and as an old car painter, it's shocking, quite frankly, to learn how much the coatings have become a part of the safety aspect of the vehicle. And, especially as it relates to LiDAR and radar and the mil thickness of our blind spot monitors, all of this plays a very important role in the safety of the vehicle. So, absolutely, yeah. He's got an adjustment to make there.
Hello? Hi? Yep. Can you hear me?
On.
Yep, okay. So I'm going to continue with this thing. Robert, so are paints and coatings moving beyond cosmetics and corrosion protection now?
Yes, in the past, paint has very much been around the look of the vehicle, the aesthetics, what attracted the customer. There was no other functional element to it apart from helping resist corrosion. But that's all changing now, and we're going to be hearing more and more two buzzwords that come in, and that is functional coatings and permittive coatings. You're going to hear a lot more about those two terms. Functional coatings because they are integral to the functions of the vehicle in terms of the advanced driver assistance systems. The paint will be part of making sure things like ADAS work correctly. And permittive because it be rated on how much it permits these things to work properly. If you hear a coating described as not being permittive, it means it doesn't permit things like LiDAR to interact with it and be part of that safety system. So get ready, you're going to be hearing a lot about functional coatings and permittive coatings from the paint manufacturers.
Khaled, yes. How far ahead to OEMs and paint manufacturers plan these changes?
Actually, you have a time span of 5 to 7 years in order to be available for the refinement and the commerciality of this types of paint. Actually, all the reports say that if you have the age between 24 to 35, which maybe you are in this age group, if I'm not
there yet. I'm not there yet. One day I'll get there.
So 40% of them, they say that they are okay to have the full automotive or the full autonomy of the car. So if you go for the 35 to 44, maybe it drops to 25%. If you go for adult people or more than that, they say they are okay to have one feature or another of driving assistance. So if you say that there is a need, there is in all age groups, they are welcoming the use of autonomy or the use of drive assist cars. So there is a room to grow in this area. If you talk about the technology related to these cars, so I'm talking about radar and LiDAR, you are talking about cameras and sensors, you are talking about the environment that we have. So each and single technology of that needs to be improved. And when it's improved, you are going to improve the paint that goes with this. So you will need the paint for the cars, for the service areas, for the lanes, for the traffic signs. So all of these will be areas that you are going to be ready for that.
So you say that the paint on the signs and on the roads, that actually affects it?
Yeah, sure. Sure. Even the construction works in the road, even the people that are crossing by. So as you know, this is LiDAR and radar system. It gives some, it needs to read what is available in front of it. If it's autonomy car, or if it's not electric car, if it's not, it needs to read that. So all the paint and coating that related to that would be important for the sensors to read.
See, I had no idea until I do a radio program, I do test drive new cars. And I had this latest E350 Mercedes-Benz that I was driving, coming from the shops, coming to my house. I had it on cruise control, and I arrived at a roundabout, and the car slows down all by itself. Down to about 20 kilometers, go through the roundabout, it picks up. I get close to my house, I put my left blinker on, and it slows down as you turn in. So this obviously has something to do with paint. I was blown away with that.
I was just going to say, Michel, I have the same problem. When I get about 400 meters from our local pub, my car slows down, and it seems to go to the left as well. So I have the same problem.
I'm sorry for you. Poor old Andrew, he's sitting all by himself here. We're going to ask him a question. So tell me, Andrew, where is the car buyer, the customer here? Are they getting left behind in all this change?
Probably not, because we know already that the motor manufacturers, they spend gazillions of dollars and euros with understanding customer buying habits, focus groups, and the like. And these guys are getting this information back. And for me, I think that this emotional journey that we are on when we're buying a car, which is we fall in love with the brand, we choose the technology that we want, and then ultimately we say, but I'd like it in red, or I'd like it in blue. I think that's going to be the challenge for the motor manufacturers, because they're going to need to get this balance between the technology, the actual affordability, and the aesthetics. So I think whilst ever we as customers are asking for, I want all of this, but I'd like it in blue, I think that we as customers won't get left behind.
Okay. All right. How are ADAS, EVs, and other new technologies affecting OEM coatings? So I'm going to ask Khaled to start with, do the new vehicle technologies require new coatings? And if they do, what needs to be different and why?
Okay. Shortly, yes. Why? Do they need? Yes, they need new types of technologies. If you are talking about, for example, exterior paint, okay? As you know, the electric cars, they have sensors and cameras that it sends waves just like 905 nanometers lidar. So the cars that it reads, the color that it reads should reflect this in order to see it, okay? So those types of functional and primitive and as well as translucent pigments, so they are going to be used heavily in the future of that. So that's for the exterior, if you can say. If you are talking about also exterior will affect the heat of the cabinet inside. So maybe the manufacturer of the cars will use less ACs, the weight of the AC will be less, so the consumption of the electricity will be low. So one of the things. Also, if you're talking about sensors and cameras, sensor cameras, they should see if you are going to drive with your naked eye. So it's easy if you can have dust or you have frost, you can see, you can adapt your eyes. But if the sensors, they do not do that, so it needs special paint and special clears that it will not let dust to be dusted or to be frost. So no frost clears, maybe, for example, will be a good example in this as well. Okay. Also, the environment, as we were talking about that, new types of paint is going to be for the lanes. New types of paint is going to be for the vests of the construction works of the roads. So the more you go, the more you get new technology in this aspect, actually.
Fascinating. Dave, the most popular colors have been black, silver, and white. Is this going to continue, or are we going to go into some decent colors? I hate silver, black, and white.
That's a great question. Let me preface this by saying that many of you heard about Teslas in autonomous mode, crashing into an overturned truck trailer and things of that nature. So I feel like this technology, it requires several different types of technology to recognize things and take the appropriate action. And one of the primary tools that we use is LiDAR, right? So we have radar, which uses sound waves, and LiDAR, which is more of a laser technology to judge distances. Now, LiDAR in particular is has a very difficult time seeing black, seeing dark blues, and also silver, right, for different reasons. So the black and the dark blues use, a common makeup is carbon black, which makes it very difficult for the LiDAR to see it. Silvers, on the other hand, use primarily aluminum flake, which doesn't reflect the light back correctly, so it has a very difficult time seeing silver. Maybe that's why the Tesla ran into the overturned truck. Didn't recognize it, and it was probably silver. I'm just assuming that. So to answer your question, yeah, I think that the paint manufacturers are going to figure this out for us at some point. So if they really love silver, they'll find an alternative to aluminum flake. They can switch to an organic black instead of a carbon black. So there are ways that I believe all the paint manufacturers are probably working on this. And I read a recent article featuring BASF that are already implementing these changes to the makeup of the paint finish.
So is that why Mercedes-Benz has got 50 Shades of Grey?
That's actually a movie, I think.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay. Just briefly, how does red compare? Is that one of those reflective colors?
I know that's your favorite color. I think we're safe for a while.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. All right, okay. Khaled, no, not Khaled. I'm going to ask Robert. Sorry, Robert. Can we expect to see colors and coatings get more complex in the future? And if so, how?
Yeah, and red's a good example of that, actually. You're going to see multi-layered coatings. So whereas at the moment you have primer, maybe one or two coats of base coat, one or two coats of clear coat, you're going to see more layers than that just in the base coat stage alone. So you're going to have multiple layers of translucent or transparent layers that allow the technology to penetrate into that coating, not bounce off the surface, penetrate into it. So you're going to see reflective tones and elements to things like the primer. And you'll see all of this build up to provide the finished color. The exact choice of primer color and each one of those stages, even though it appears virtually translucent or transparent to you, will make up the final color that we're going to see. So you're going to see multiple layers producing a finished effect. And that will help with things like red.
Yeah, tricolor matching that.
Well, it's again going to be an important part. It's not be something that you will want to rework when it's that complicated and complex to do in the first place. So it's going to take a lot of studying from the body shops to make sure they have the equipment and the training to deal with it.
I mean, you're talking about matching. Already you have problems matching that Mazda red and certain colors. It's almost a nightmare. Anyway, I'm going to continue, otherwise we're going to rave on. Andrew, these new coatings will still have to be applied onto a substrate. So are substrates needed to adapt and change as fast as the coatings?
Yes and no. In terms of where we're positioned in the marketplace as a producer of abrasives, we're kind of the meat in the sandwich between the substrate and the coating. So we have to have that intimate knowledge of how the substrates are positioned and how they work, and then how the coatings should be applied. So from our perspective, it's all about understanding what is necessary that needs to be applied to that substrate, and then adjust our technology to enable that to work successfully. Because if the coating doesn't sit well on the substrate, then we're all in trouble, and the body shop market isn't able to function correctly. So from our perspective, this is a really good example of one set of innovation driving another. So we see innovation in substrate technology, we see innovation in paint coating technology, so that's driving the abrasive technology. So you start to see, and you already do see, different types of minerals, different types of resins that are being used in our industry, and that's all to deal with the latest sort of substrate and paint technologies.
Okay.
Sorry.
So now the question is, how are paints and consumable manufacturers adapting their service as an offering? So Khaled, I'm going to ask you, you're the paint manufacturer here. Will color tools like spectrophotometers, or was it mouthful, Will that become more common, or can we expect to see something else in the very near future?
Actually, these spectrophotometers have been in the market since a while now, and I think the rollout of the spectrophotometers will be more and more in the near future. Actually now, each company has its spectrophotometer, and there is a competition to service all body shops and shops to get their specific color, and the color match to be perfect. Actually, the spectrophotometer, we had 4 generations of the spectrophotometers. 0, 45 degree, the diffuse, the multi-angle, and then the multi-angle with the camera. Actually, Kapci has launched the latest technology of the spectrophotometer with the camera as well here in Autopromotech to service our new systems. The device gives the best match for the body shop and for the shop owners, that you can get easily the color. Camera now is a plus in the spectrophotometer, which you get all the library of your color within your software. As the spectrophotometer, it's a very easy device, if you can say, with the help of the software that's being developed and the algorithm of this tool that you are giving to the market. Things are going so fast. So I expect in the future there is more spectrophotometer, and from the research we are doing and if you are talking to this industry, we think that more angles will be in this device. Camera will be sophisticated more, so things will be better in the future. And I think there is a huge opportunity for the companies to work in this regard to represent the color at the most.
So Khaled, are there different generations of spectrophotometer?
Yes, there are 4 different generations of the spectrophotometer. As I've told you, the first one is 0 and 45. This one, the 45 angle, is the best, or the best match, or the best match for the angle to get the color as the eye of the person. For sure, if you are reading a good publication, maybe you know this publication, Bodyshop News, for example. Do you know it?
I've heard of it.
So there is glossy, perfect printing of that. So your eye adapts to eliminate this gloss. So this angle reads the color perfectly, okay? So this is one of the things that we say that the best angle that you can use is the 45. Then after that, get a spherical device which uses the diffuse illumination theory, and then get the multi-angle. You can use 15, 45, 75, 110. Then there are 6 angles, there are 12 angles, there are 28 angles. So you can add on. The commercial one now, there are 6 angles, 12 angles. And then a camera plus this angles. The camera reads all your color library and then gets the grain of the silver. So if it's fine, if it's medium, if it's coarse, so it helps you get also the coarseness of the aluminum flake. So actually there is a huge revolution in this area, and I think the more you invest in this tool, the more you put your time and effort, there is a impact to your work and your business.
Just going to take a break just for a sec. And this is like out of the context here, but you're talking about spectrophotometers that are different angles, different So, for argument's sake, are all spectrophotometers the same? In other words, can I use a Kapci spectrophotometer if I'm using XYZ paint company? Or are they specifically done? And this is honestly, okay? Don't try and do me a sale.
No, I'm honest with you all the time. I'll give you the truth and the whole truth and nothing like the truth.
So help you God, yeah. So do they intermatch, or is it really done for your paint?
If you are talking about the devices that 4 years ago in the market, that all companies they can use, you can overlap.
Yeah.
Because only the device, and then you use your software. As I told you, it's a very simple device, but the main investment that you do is to get the algorithm of the software and how to use the specific formulas to do the search function and correction function.
Okay.
If you want me to talk about it, when you get the reading, you get the reading from any angle, then you transfer it to the software, okay?
Okay.
So the most important thing, good spectrophotometer, but the software also is the most important, because the search function and the correction function, because sometimes you get the nearest color, but you need it to correct to have the exact match. So before you can overlap the devices, but the manufacturers of the spectrophotometers now, they are blocking each with the firmware that you are receiving from the manufacturer. This is by the serial number. This cannot be used without the driver of this certain company.
Thank you for that one.
Most welcome.
Andrew, what about the longer term? Do you see virtual reality and augmented reality changing the way you deliver training to your customers, for example?
It's a tough question to ask a guy that produces abrasives. I think in terms of the virtual reality, the augmented reality, I think it's certainly the technology is there. You only have to ask a 14-year-old gamer to understand that there is that technology around. I think for us, we need to understand, will it actually enhance what it is that we're doing? So from our perspective, it's very much about if it adds value to what we're doing with our customers, then absolutely we're all for it, and we will try and pursue as much as we can in that environment. I would definitely say virtual reality has to be balanced with, let's say, our actual reality. So there are thousands of people here today at this exhibition when we could all have met via Teams or Zoom or online. But as human beings, we still crave that interaction, and we still want to learn from each other. We learn far more quickly from each other face to face than we do through a TV or a monitor. So whilst I'm all for enhancement, most definitely, and if it can add value to what we're doing, I'm absolutely for it. But I think as an industry, we have to balance this out with understanding that we are still very much a customer-facing industry that needs to deal with people on a day-by-day basis.
Good answer. I'm going to change now. What new technology can we expect to see in the next maybe 3 to 5 years? Dave, how are paint manufacturers using new technology to innovate the way they develop the new products now? Can you give us an example, perhaps, from the American OEMs?
Certainly. I wanted to add to the virtual reality painting, and we're actually using that in the States to attract young people into our industry, because we're able to put a headset on them and have them virtually paint something, and they find that quite interesting. So that's a tool that we use to try to lure people. We've had that technology for quite a few years.
We also give training in our training center for maybe youngsters and maybe nearby schools and paint schools that it's a full spray and medium spray, how to spray clear coat, how to spray paint and fillers and different. It's an augmented reality that you can wear with the Oculus, and with the spray and a spray gun that's linked to the Oculus, and this training has been given in some of the exhibitions to our customers as well. It's something that you feel that it gives you in the future something that could happen in reality, but it's only for the training purposes now.
Yeah, absolutely, and there's nothing like hands-on, but this is a great way to attract people. And also, I'll move on to the real question that you asked me.
Do you still remember it, or do you want me to re-say it again?
So, no, I remember.
You remember that? Okay.
I remember it.
Just that we talked about so many other things, yeah.
Yeah, almost took us down a bunny trail. But this may be bad news for some of us painters that like to make a lot of money from warranty paint jobs. But a lot of the manufacturers are turning to actual machine learning to predict the durability and the performance over coatings over a long period of time through machine learning, instead of actually applying the paint and taking years to test it. So I think they're really trying to minimize the amount of warranty repairs that we usually see. And I remember as a painter years ago, the hundreds of thousands of Chevrolets that had the laminated paint and what that meant to the body shops that were repairing them. But they, understandably, they're trying to eliminate that through AI and machine learning. I think it's fascinating.
Okay. So Robert, what new coatings and technologies do you see OEMs introducing as a result of this pre-production research and innovation?
Yeah, like Dave said, they'll do a lot more work before they actually go into full manufacture and go online with that color. So having done that and combining that research with that better initial product that doesn't need so many revisions, what you'll see is a longer production process at the factory. They're either going to have more steps in that paint line to be able to apply these different stages of the color, or the car is going to have to stay in that one place longer than it ever did before. So production-wise, they're really going to have to plan ahead how they can continue making more and more cars in the same amount of time, because the paint process is going to be longer. And we're going to see that replicated in body shops. The quick one visit of a base coat layer of the coating is not always going to be there. You're going to have multiple layers, as I said earlier. So when it comes to actually managing that production in the factory, they'll be looking at, again, AI, big data, machine learning to replicate how that factory will function and how they can squeeze more time savings out of what they're doing now. They'll also look at things like predictive maintenance. So again, they're planning ahead and using machine learning and AI to really replicate what problems are going to show up down the line and how they can refine it to levels we've never seen before to make sure that production of that factory is as efficient and effective as it possibly can be. And like any other supply chain, the innovation starts at the top and will come down through supply chain into body shops. We'll be seeing the benefits of this trickle down from the manufacturers through that supply chain into body shops in future. It's really going to be interesting to see how we adapt to that as an industry.
Fascinating stuff. Andrew, how are paint and consumable manufacturers responding to the need to support the environment? We mustn't forget the environment in all of this.
Yeah. Well, I would say first, I would rather hope that everybody in the room actually has some strong awareness of the impact that they also can have in their day-by-day activities within the industry. But as an abrasive manufacturer, we have in the past used solvents and other chemicals in the manufacturing process, which over the years we've had to, of course, through legislation, withdraw. And we now find ourselves taking this one step further and understanding what more can we do in terms of our production process to be far more compliant and have an environmental awareness. So in terms of our own company activities, there are the obvious activities that we can all look at, which is less waste in terms of what we do on a day-by-day basis, turn the lights out and all that sort of stuff. But I think it's from our own company, we've just finished a big investment in our production capability, and one of the things that has been key to that has been how we power our plant and how we power the lights and the heating within our own factory environment. And we've utilised solar energy, for example, in that. All of our lighting is all natural lighting now. We're not using any external power sources to provide lighting. So these are the types of things that I think that all organisations now should be looking at and having that awareness to. And it has to start now, really, because we're not in a position for much longer. Even we talk about water now in some markets is an absolute high value item. So I think it's incumbent on us all to take that action as soon as we can.
Come to Australia, we've got floods, we've got plenty of water over there. So, Khaled, how are paint manufacturers helping body shops save energy and costs?
Okay. Lower energy, this is less heat, saving cost, fast curing products. Kapci has been looking for this aspect since a while now. And actually here in Autopromotech, we are presenting a new system and all system as well that meets this requirement. If you are talking about high-end performance products and the fast curing products, you can get the whole range of products starting from polyester putty till the clear coat. For the polyester putty, for example, we have different types of polyester putty for different type of steels, different type of plastics. You could use our fast drying polyester putty and rapid drying polyester putty that can only in air dry by 20 minutes you can sand, or over by the infrared for 5 minutes only. So this is a fast process. Also for the Tokyo fillers, we have different types of Tokyo fillers as well. So you can use wet on wet or the fast dry ones. So we have both of them. Moreover, the bin system, we have different types of bin systems, especially the waterborne base coat system, if we're talking about the legislation here in Europe. So we offer Kapci in order to have this types of, we can say, air dry or fast dry, and no time that to finish your job easily. Clear coats also, we have different types of clear coats. One of them that you can, without using any heat, only 1 hour, you can finish your car. So those different types of products that make the less heat, fast curing, for sure, all these products you have to use with the specific hardeners for the fast hardeners that you should use. And we are talking about electric cars now, or EVs. So you have to take the specific measures for each car. It's the same process, we can say. But you have to take the safety measures if you are using that in electric cars. So if you are in Bodyshop, you have to use the same system, different systems, but you have to take the safety for these products that you are selling.
Okay, I'm going to ask questions about the OEMs and the body shops. I mean, what do OEMs and body shops require from a paint or a consumable partner today? I'm going to start with Andrew. What are OEMs looking for, and how are you responsible, or you responding to this, I mean?
Yeah, so we work with a number of OEMs around the world, and I would say that the common theme between the OEMs is they want security and they want repeatability. It's as simple as that. So we take the quality aspects as part of the security, knowing they're going to get what they want every time. And they want the repeatability, that they want to be able to produce a car in the same way every day of the week, 365 days of the year. So from that perspective, they want repeatability and security. How does that cascade down into the body shop market? Is exactly the same way. All body shop managers want to know that what's in the box is going to be the same as what it was the previous time, and it's going to produce the same output and give the same results again and again and again. And it doesn't matter where we are in the world, and it's always interesting as we travel around. I always am faced with that question, or that comment that people say, oh, but it's different in my market. The reality, it's not, because OEs, they want their vehicles repaired back to the pre-accident condition or the condition that it rolled off the production line. And I was in a body shop in Nairobi a couple of weeks ago, and it was a OEM-owned body shop. They're using exactly the same paint as they use in Germany. In the UK, they're using exactly the same tools and equipment. And the guy said, I absolutely need to know how to repair the car in the same way that it's done in France, Germany, UK, and so on. So we were able to provide him those work processes and activities that will enable him to work in exactly the same way. So he's got the repeatability and the security. So it doesn't matter where we are in the world, those demands remain the same.
Okay. So what do all these changes mean to the body shops? Robert, how will it affect estimates?
Well, the first thing you need to do as body shop owners and managers is train your estimator. You need to train your estimator. The current process of the body shop, if you were to stand right back from your day-to-day operations, we have massive gaps in how we handle color today without getting into this technology of the future. For example, 1 in 4 men in the world have a degree of color blindness. It's part of being a man. Hands up who does a color blindness check when they go to employ a new painter. One. Okay. Congratulations, you win a toy duck. We'll come over and see you after the show. It's remarkably uncommon that we don't even check if a painter is colorblind before we employ a new painter. We're just so desperate to find one, we just give him the job. So yeah, things like that. We are going to see a lot of requirements around estimating, as Michel said. So for example, does your estimator just see a red car, or a blue car, or a silver car, or a black car? Unless he knows off by heart the multiple variants of 80,000 colors that are out there in the world today, have you got something on his desktop, like a very quick color search tool? So he can look at the color code on the car and find out, is that a metallic color? Is it a xeralic color? Is it a pearlescent color? Is it a 2-stage, 3-stage, 4-stage base coat? Is it a color primer? Is it a natural primer? So all of that has to be factored in to the estimate, the cost of materials, the cost of time. He has to talk to the workshop controller about the loading of the workshop, the loading of the spray booth. The whole gearing of the body shop operation is going to change as a result of this technology. And the best thing you can do is to embrace it and get involved in it now to understand what's coming down the line. It will affect the whole gearing and production in your body shop.
So just allow me to ask a question here again on that. You say there are color testing machines or equipment that you can put on your desk and key in the color code and it'll tell you what it is, or did I misunderstand this?
Yeah, there's two things. You primarily go to your paint supplier, your paint partner, and just ask them for a simple search tool. They can provide this help and information for you. Otherwise, your estimator is just being relied upon to understand that that isn't just a metallic red car, it's a multiple layer color. And he'll just estimate it the same way. You'll undersell the material cost, you'll undersell the time you require, and your profitability on that job will be vastly affected. So yeah, reach out and ask for help. If you don't have it today, partners will help you. You just need to ask the question.
I want one in my shop, that's why I'm asking. Okay, Dave, what about repair methods and the processes? How do these changes, affect the body shop?
I hate them. No, for some of us, me included, rules are made to be broken, and craftsmen, a lot of us, we're innovative people. We enjoy the challenge of figuring things out. I mean, as a painter, we take pride in figuring out ways to make that color match, to make it blend, and now we have to abide by a very strict set of rules in order to meet the manufacturer's recommendations. As Robert was referring to earlier, we've got to do it exactly like this, and then we've got to put this on exactly like that. And so we lose a little bit of that innovative feeling, but I think it's something that we absolutely must embrace if we're going to continue to be successful.
That reminds me of the guy who went to the doctor, and the doctor says, you take that tablet in the morning, this one at lunch, and this one at night. And watch it, you have to take half a tablet with the one in the morning. And he says, what's the difference? I'll take a half a tablet in the afternoon. Sadly, it didn't work for him. And he was in a hospital because it was the wrong tablet. So you have to work on processes. Khaled, what will be the impact of all of this on the repair cost?
Should I be honest also on this question?
You just said. In front of God, everything. Truth, but the truth.
Okay, so for sure, any new technology you find you will pay more. But it's not only because of the new technology, because of the standards that you are looking for. If you are talking about EVs and ADS, so you would need to go to a good body shop that has the equipment, that has the tools, that has the expertise. So if it's not around, you have to drive to go to that place. You cannot sacrifice with your car to give it to someone who doesn't know. Also, the cost of having skilled people to keep your people that they know that. Learning. I've read something before regarding if you want to go, you have to embrace the change. Okay? All body shops should embrace the change, and they should start learning, and you should get the training before the car comes to the market. currently the car comes to market, then see what is the color, what should we do? No, you have to be proactive in this regard and to get what it needs in this point. The cost, it's new technology, so you are going to get raw material. Also the availability of this stuff, it's not available. The number of EVs in the market is not that big, so you have to wait for the parts, you have to wait for the things. So those stuff gets you. For sure, the EV, if you are talking about, it's 25% less doing accident rate if you are talking about the internal consumption engine. But at the same time, there are small repairs in this car. So I think the cost will be higher. Which is not a good news for sure, but it will be higher.
Okay. All right. Andrew, will they need new tools and equipment?
I think, generally speaking, the processes that we have in place now will probably continue for the foreseeable future, but there's always going to be adaptations to take into account these new technologies. And that's the very reason that we're here at these exhibitions, because we're looking for something new, some differences in what we were having before. We probably see some spray gun manufacturers adapting their machines and their equipment to deal with the new types of paints and coatings. We would certainly see people like ourselves adapting and changing the types of equipment that are used during the repair process. So undoubtedly we will see change, but it will be driven by the innovation, as we said earlier, between the substrates and the coatings. But I think it's going to be more of an evolution rather than a revolution.
Okay, Khaled, what about stock holding and availability? And be honest again, please.
No, you are asking a very tough question, especially right at the moment. Actually, this is the toughest question that I can answer.
I haven't finished yet.
So with the current situation that we are facing now, because of the COVID, because of the war, because of everything, you are facing. We are giving all the scenario now. So things are very complicated, to be sure. But if you are talking about EVs, exactly, maybe in the future, we're not talking about this only. I think the stock availability will be a problem also as well, because of the new technology, the availability, some specific colors you are going to need in order to finish your job. So maybe it would be that it wouldn't be that easy to get and to hold maybe for one car or two cars that one color to solve it. So we have to get innovative solutions for this problem, maybe from hand to mouth, as we can say in the FMCGs. You have to get new way of stuff. You know, it has been proven that it's not that easy. If there is any problem happened in Brazil, you feel it. If it happens in Ukraine, you feel it in Africa. So we have to get rid of these problems quickly in order not to be in this loop all the time.
Okay. Thank you. Robert, you wanted to say something on that one?
Yeah, I was just going to pick up on something that Khaled said there, combined with something I said earlier. You know, these are part of an integral section of the car safety systems. We can't get around that. This is required to put that Euro NCAP 5-star rating back on that vehicle when we return it to the customer. That is our responsibility as a body shop. Not 3.7 stars, not 4.3 stars, to put that 5-star rating back on, return it exactly as it left the factory. Now, if you do nothing and carry on head down, operational, that iceberg is coming towards you. And all of these things that we're talking about here today is just going to be an obstacle. Start thinking about what the opportunities are in this. Khaled just alluded to it a few minutes ago. Start thinking about how you can position yourself as experts in this niche sector. More comfortable, more advanced than your competitors within a 20-kilometer radius. Communicate to the customer how you have this technology on your car, and actually it's not just red. This is the technology on your car, and we are the best people to choose. Then you will attract better paying, retail paying customers into your body shop, and you'll get much more opportunity out of this instead of just seeing the obstacles. There's huge opportunity. Don't just see this as an obstacle, was my message there to back up what Khaled was just saying.
Oh, I thought you wanted the microphone. Yeah, you got one on the other hand.
It's a gelato, really.
That was powerful. That was very good. Now, Andrew, what about the staff skills and the capability to refinish these new coatings?
There's probably a seminar in itself just on staff skills and the shortages and the challenges that the industry is facing, getting young people to come into the industry. And that's a topic all on its own. But if we look at the here and now and today, I think that we have to recognise that there's been an awful lot of work being done by various bodies and industries to attract new people into the sector. I think as well we could also look inside the body shops themselves and look to the younger people inside the body shops and target those people, because they're the ones that will embrace technology far easier than a guy that's been repairing cars for the same way for the last 40 years and his father did it the same way. But if they've got a young apprentice in the company, surely he's got to be the person targeted with understanding the new technology, and that will engage him much more within the business, from my perspective. And I think that we have to take a look at the manufacturers, the paint and coating manufacturers, the consumable manufacturers, and ask them as well to provide training, because we often are faced with body shop managers saying to us, "Oh, would you mind if you could give some training to one of my guys on the shop floor?" The answer is hell yes, of course we want to give training, because we are producing products that we want people to get the most effective, efficient use out of those products. So absolutely, I would encourage as well, in terms of training and education, ask the sales guys, ask the technical people that visit the body shops and say, "I need you to help me," and I think that you will absolutely get a positive response every time.
Very well said. Yeah. Dave, what do body shops need to be doing to manage all these changes?
The curious will rule the planet. And that's, look around the room, see all the empty seats? Those are your competitors that you're going to be crushing because you've taken the time to come and learn new things, to embrace the future, right? All of the booths in the trade show, you need to proactively go out and seek the answers before your competitors passively sit on their heinies and wait for the information to come to them. That small window of opportunity to get out in front of this technology, to be curious, to find this information is what's going to separate you from the competition. Reach out to your ICARs and your training people and your vendors and anybody else that can provide you with a glimpse into the future.
All right, final question. Robert, if coatings are integral to safety systems, what about the auditability requirements for that?
Okay, so just at the moment when you repair a vehicle, you're looking to have evidence of repair methods in the job pack. Okay, it's going to be exactly the same with coatings. You're going to need to provide hard, documented evidence that you researched that vehicle coating before that vehicle got to the spray booth. And you're going to need to document it, document the research at estimation stage, get evidence of it, whether you file it online or hard copy. You're going to need to make sure all of that there is available to prove that you researched it, you replicated it, and you reinstated it. Without doing those three things, you have a risk and a liability in a future accident if someone complains that their ADAS systems weren't working correctly after your repair. So just think about those three R's that I gave you. How are you going to document that you carried out those three things to vehicle manufacturer standard? It's every bit as important as documenting welding and other safety-related functions you already do.
Thank you, gentlemen. This concludes our little experiment today. However, we have time for some questions. If you do have any questions to ask our panelists, just raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you, and we can put it through. If you don't have any questions, we can go home. Oh, you have a question? That's good. Okay. We have a microphone, please.
This question for Andrew, going back to the comment where you emphasize that every time you ask a painter, how can we help, and you also get a positive response. I have a problem, it's kind of a joke, but it's a real problem in my world, in Texas. When you go to an old timer, particularly, and you try to help him, and he's like, don't try to help me, I've been doing this for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. So how do you go about this? How do you deal with these people? Because we face this problem on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis.
Can I just answer? Can I? Just before, can I have some sound, please? Just before Andrew answers, you're not alone.
Okay.
These painters are everywhere. You'll never teach them anything new. But let me see what Andrew does.
Well, I think I've probably met a few of these people as well, because absolutely, that we call it my father before me syndrome, and it is absolutely difficult, isn't it, to engage with someone that has been working in a particular way for forever and ever, and I think that for those people, I think it's almost let's be honest, it can be a lost cause, and this is why I said earlier on that I really do think that we need to focus in on the younger people inside the body shop, those people that are showing a willingness to learn. And this my father before me syndrome, the vehicles that they're working on nowadays are very different to the vehicles that their fathers worked on. So surely common sense would apply that they have to understand that life is very, very different. But yeah, it's absolute, there is no clear-cut answer. But from our perspective, we just have to bite our tongue and just go along with it. But certainly the focus is always on about those that want to engage with you, you engage with them.
Young generation. Thank you.
Thanks. Any further questions? No more questions? Awesome. Okay.
Can I add to that a little bit?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Because that's a great question, and it's a big problem. It's a shop leadership issue, right? And we can't control who the leader is of these shops, so that I can understand the frustration, especially from a supplier standpoint that has all the correct information to go in. Yeah, and it's incumbent upon the shops to be the kind of leaders to build the culture that's going to allow for change, or they're simply not going to be in business 5-10 years from now. Thank you, God.
Can you actually pass the microphone to Robert? Don't worry, she's going to say that in English as well.
So yeah, if someone wants to translate that question from above, then that would be great.
Yeah. Your wish came. Okay. Robert,
okay,
please.
Thank you. So, sorry if we're overrunning, it's her fault. So what we've done in our body shop, just to give you some idea, is we put new layers of structure in place to manage this. Okay, that person has a choice. Why? Because as a body shop owner, it's my choice. When I turn the light out at night, and it all goes dark and I need to try and get some sleep, am I going to let my company's liability and risk rely with someone who doesn't want to learn? So we took a decision that we either needed to change our people or change our people. So we put in new layers. We now have 3 levels of apprentice structure, to which then you then have technician level, which is a good guy, man or woman, a good person, okay, who does a good job, doesn't cause you any harm, nice to have on the team, doesn't want to go on any training, doesn't want to learn anything new. They're to a level, and that includes their salary.
So, if I can ask the question, Robert, what did you end up doing? Did you do that, or did you do the other one?
We actually found the reaction of the team pretty positive across the board. You know, once they realized that they were at technician level, and then there was above that a senior technician level. So senior technician level typically would be capable of doing a multi-layer color, 3-stage pearl, the £150,000 Mercedes-Benz or Aston Martin or something, that sort of person that you would trust. But then we installed a master technician level. This is someone that has documented evidence from certification from manufacturer, certification from industry bodies. It doesn't mean to say they're a better painter than the senior guy, but they get rewarded for putting themselves out and showing that they went on courses and learned and moved on with the times. And when you see the guy next to you earning 20% more than you do, it can change the people.
All right, well, that concludes the question, I think, unless you've got another question quickly before we wrap up. No, because we're going to be here anyway for about 15 minutes if you don't want to ask the question in public, if you want to ask it privately to the guys. So before I wrap up, I'm going to ask each one of our panelists to give us, let me just remember, was that 30 seconds, 1 minute to give us a summary of what we talked about today and your thoughts. Khaled, can we start with you? 1 minute, Khaled.
Okay. I'll try to not to pass it. Actually, for my conclusion that all of us should embrace the change, should learn the future, should be proactive in getting the new technologies embedded in our mind and to present it to our customers. I think with the new technologies that you are going to find in the future will help us in order to get a better world, we can say. By the end of the way, we can set the environment that we are in to be better than we have right at the moment. I think with the paint industry that there is a revolution in the paint industry for this stuff, as we have talked that the different types of black and the black that sucks or absorbs the nanometers or this 905 nanometer technology. So I think we have been talking about primitive coating, we have talked about functional coating, we have been talking about VOC compliance. I call this in the future, we should see the LIC, rather leader compliance. So this is of the things that we should talk and we should push to our customers and to our industry.
Thank you for that. If I can ask Andrew, your thoughts?
Yeah, I would say really don't fear the future. I think it's going to be a gradual process. We're not going to change, the industry is not going to change overnight. We've seen this with electrification of vehicles. It's slowly coming and will continue to go in this way. I would say certainly take advantage of the resources that are available to you. We as manufacturers would be absolutely delighted to talk to anybody in the industry that wants to understand what we have to offer. So take advantage of that and don't fear the future.
All right. Dave, your thoughts, 1 minute.
I would also say don't fear the future. I really believe that the bigger the challenge and the more fear, the bigger the opportunity for you. Run into this fear. As an entrepreneur, I'm constantly facing fears, and when I run into the fear, wonderful things happen. As technically minded people, as many body shop owners are, it's important also for us to not just innovate on how we repair the vehicle, because that's what we're passionate about as technicians, but to also turn that passion and that innovation into building a business as well.
It is your turn, Robert, yes, if you don't mind giving us an idea. 1 minute.
We talk about these challenges all over the world with IBIS. What happens in our body shop, what happens in yours, what happens in Bologna, in Italy, in Europe, happens all around the world. We're all facing these same challenges. But it's important to remember this. Run a business, don't just run a body shop. Without innovation, there is no opportunity. Absolutely. Without opportunity, there is no expert positioning, there's no new revenue streams. And without these things happening, by now we would all be out of business because we would have commoditized our industry to death. And it is only these innovations that produce opportunities. And if I want you to take away one phrase from what I've said to you today, it's run a business, don't just run a body shop.
Thank you. That is very wise words. I like that. I like that. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our show completely. Thank you for being here. Thank you for just bearing with us for all that time. It can be tedious sometimes. I'd like to thank, obviously, Auto Promotech as part of the international aftermarket meetings. I'd like to thank Khaled from Kapci Coatings, Robert from Multiple Things, Dave and Andrew, thank you so much for being with us today, and thank you all for being here. Have a good afternoon.